So she chose another guy. Maybe you're with her for a long time, but for whatever reason, she decided to choose another guy. Maybe she cheated on you even. Maybe she's got this other guy and she's monkey branching off to him. And maybe she hasn't slept with him. Maybe it's an emotional affair and she's choosing another guy. And you ask yourself, this guy's a fucking loser. How can I lose my wife to a guy who's dealing drugs or a guy who really not doing anything with his life? The trainer down at the gym. Like, he's not doing big shit in the world like you are. So why in the hell did she get with this guy? And to a guy like you, it's maddening because you could provide everything. You could be everything. You could be understanding. You have your own job or you got a business and you're able to provide for your family in the way that they need. And so you do all the things to try to make her come back, to try to get her to understand your position, to try to get her to love you again, and it doesn't work. And so it can be maddening for a guy who is in power in every other area of his life, but for whatever reason he's not in power in his relationship, and then to find out that she went with a loser. Now, it makes sense if the guy was doing better than you. It makes sense if he was more powerful, if he was more fit, if he was doing some better things in the world than you are. It makes sense. You'd be like, okay, well, I can kind of get it. That guy's doing better than I am. I can see how I lost my wife to him. But usually that's not the case, and almost never. In fact, I have yet to see it in Soul Seducer or the older program, Broken to Badass, where men come because their wife is cheating on them. And I have yet to find a woman who actually hypergamously moves on to another guy. In other words, she didn't trade up. It almost never fucking happens. And in this video, I'm going to describe why this almost never happens and what you can do to prevent this from ever happening to you. And if you're in the middle of this right now, what you can do to at least turn the tables. I'm not saying you should get back with a woman who's cheating on you, but at the same time, I know that you want to figure this out. You want to solve this problem because you don't ever want to be in this position again. My name is Ed Baxter, and I help guys in betrayal situations. The process of being with a woman for 50 years or a woman that you're dating is pretty much the same. For us, it's just science. Because we know the patterns, we know the solutions. It's not that complicated. You have to make a commitment for yourself. That's what it means to be in Soul Seducer program. That's what it means to work with me directly. So that you can learn to handle your emotions, so you can learn to see right into a woman's soul and seduce her from within, to create this garden that she can actually thrive in. So the first thing is, it's not about you intrinsically. There's nothing wrong with you as a man. Now, the way that you're operating, the way that you are presenting yourself, yeah, there could be something wrong. The way that you have the lack of your own skills, the lack of your own mindsets, or maybe they're not a lack thereof, but maybe it's pointing in the wrong direction. Or maybe that can change, and maybe that's what needs to happen. But there's nothing inherently wrong with you. You see, when a woman gets with a guy like that, it's not that she's going after what's better, she's going after something different. And different is often better than boring and predictable. And when a woman is in a place of boring and predictable, over time she's going to wonder, is this all there is to life? She wants to have this adventure. She wants to have this romance. She wants to have more. She wants to have that great love. And for whatever reason, in your relationship, it doesn't feel like the great love anymore. It feels like the slog. It feels like the duties, the endless to-do list, the chores, the children, the pleasing you sexually when she's not in the mood, just to keep you off her back because she is afraid of the conflict associated around sex. And so in this space, she's not really looking for better. She's looking for different, and she's looking for an escape. Something to make her feel alive again. Something to make her feel like life is worth living again. And this is why you can't compete with this, because you haven't been able to bring those experiences to the table. And so what ends up happening is there's this desire for the chaos in the feminine, to be able to have these chaotic experiences. And you might notice it in your own relationship, why she brings drama for no reason. The reason she brings this drama is because she's trying to open you up. She's trying to get you to tap into that inner wild savage, the guy who's dominant in his life. But whenever you become reliable and predictable and you're safe and you don't have that edge anymore, she's going to start craving this edge. Why does she crave this edge to begin with? Because the guy who is unpredictable is able to break through the norms. The guy who's unpredictable on some chances could really fucking accelerate in society. A man who is attached to his inner wild savage is willing to break the rules for the greater good. He's willing to do what is required. And when you lose your edge and you lose this ability to really tap into who you are fundamentally as a man and be able to exude that and put this dominance in the world, you lose that edge. And that edge is what she wants that she needs to feel from you. You see, over the years, you, in your relationship, you became safe, you became boring, you became this guy who's super predictable. And in this place, that's good. That makes her feel safe. That makes her feel like things are reliable. But at the end, she loses this polarity with you. She loses this sexual desire with you. And guys are usually lacking in one of two departments, which is dominance. And dominance has the realm of power or presence, being very present with her. And so most guys, whenever they have a relationship problems, they keep doubling down on the presence game. How can I talk to her more? How can I connect with her more? How can we have better communication? Really, the problem is the guy has lost his edge, or he never really had it, or he never really developed it. Or over time, he had this in a relationship, but over time, he just gave it up just to please her, just to make her feel better about things. And the thing is that she's bringing all this emotionality up because she's trying to feel this inner savage within you. And most guys don't have this controlled at all. So what ends up happening is he just rages out. Bitch, why don't you just handle your own problems? And then she's like, well, I just needed to feel your presence, your dominance, not you becoming an unhinged dude. And you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. How can she call me names and all this stuff and expect something different? It's true. That's true. So you have to be with somebody that matches you well. If you don't want to tolerate that in your relationship, you shouldn't have tolerated it the first time. If you don't want to tolerate that in your relationship, why do you keep tolerating it over the years? And then she sees this and she sees you becoming weak. And she sees that she has control over you. And now that inner savage, that wild man, he dies within himself. And he lets her control him. Now she controls the frame of the relationship. She controls his frame of his life. And so what she wants to see is this guy who's uncontrollable. This guy who is unhinged a little bit, who has an edge about him, but at the same time he's controlled. And you're like, well, how is this beneficial to me as a man? Why do I have to do all this shit to make a woman happy? You're not doing it to make a woman happy. What it does is it keeps you honed. It keeps you sharp. And so you'll notice that there's a lot of guys who just want to, hey, I just want to live my life, and I want to just have the routine. I want to do my things. I want to be calm, and I want to be peaceful. And that's cool. You can have that, but you're not going to have deep spiritual intimacy with a woman that absolutely lights a fire into your ass to move, like guys who do have that have. You won't have that. You can have this peace and harmony. You can have that, but you're going to have to cultivate that with your woman. You're going to have to cultivate that by honing your edge and letting her see that edge. So in other words, if my woman's coming up to me and she's guilting and shaming me, then in the beginning, I'm going to set the boundary of, yeah, that ain't going to happen here. And so if you want to roll with me, we're not playing that game. And so she's going to test it. She's going to bring this up every once in a while to feel your edge, to feel like where she can get away with things with you. And this isn't necessarily to beat you down or to cause problems. She needs to feel this from you. She needs to feel this attraction with you. And she feels this attraction when she gets this emotional spike. This could be through humor. This could be through adventure. This could be from just messing with her and poking at her, teasing her a little bit. Sometimes she has to feel it when she gets spicy. She'll get upset about something and she'll start throwing it at you. And she needs to feel that not only can you contain that fire and fury that she's throwing, but you know how to pivot that stuff, and if necessary, give a conscious spanking along with it. And now most guys don't know how to do this. They look at their woman and their emotionality as a problem, as something that's just in a way like, get the fuck out of here, I don't want to deal with this shit. And this is how guys approach it with each other. Like, dude, handle your fucking emotions. I don't need this shit here. We're trying to get some stuff done. But when you invite a woman into your life, just realize that this is the game that you're asking to play. And you can sit there and you can say, hey, I don't want to play this game. Why can't women just be chill? They can be, but only if you created the garden long enough for her to actually chill the fuck out. Most women are responding to the chaos within you, or the lack of drive within you, or the lack of something going on. And so the woman in your life is a reflection of your subconscious thinking. The stuff that you're not noticing is what's being thrown right into your face. And so the reason that your woman is going to be doing this is because it helps you with your own evolutionary growth. Now, I'm not saying that you should be with somebody who's a tyrant. I'm not saying that you should be with somebody who's just not caring or empathetic. No, you should endeavor to be with somebody who matches you really well and can do all those things. But at the same time, when you invite a woman into your life, you're inviting chaos. And you, as the man, have to be the container of that chaos. It's not that you're responsible for her emotional state, but you're responsible for what happens in your life. You're responsible for how you deal with things and how you respond to things. And you may find that this woman cannot roll with you and you're at the level that you want to go. You may find that she's not any more emotionally mature than a 13-year-old, in which case you got a project in your hands. You don't have a partner. And so you want to be with somebody who is mature, but at the same time, you're going to understand that there's going to be some sense of she needs to feel this strength from you, this wild man, this inner savage that cannot be tamed. She needs to feel that. If she doesn't feel that from you, then she's going to find it with somebody else because she's going to find your life boring. She's going to feel like your life doesn't have a lot of life in it anymore. And so she goes after these kind of experiences so she can feel alive. And if you can handle this, if you do this properly, you can actually have a very peaceful life. Your wife will be satisfied. Your wife will not have to drive all this chaos all the time because she feels that edge from you all the time. She feels that you are this guy who can actually go out there and get some shit done. That you have this kind of intensity about you, this kind of wild man about you. And you don't have to keep throwing it all over the place. You don't have to keep showing it to her all the time deliberately, but you the way that you are present as a man, this keeps her engaged. This keeps her attracted to you. And the attraction doesn't fade over time. And in fact, if you can do this and you hold your boundaries and you're really strong in who you are, you leverage dominance in your life over your own self and over your domain, then you're not going to have a woman who has a wandering eye. She's going to be totally dialed into you. Most guys don't want to go and do this. Most guys are too afraid to really address or even embrace their inner savage and let that motherfucker out. They're unwilling to do it because they're afraid of it. They're unwilling to do it because they don't know how to do it with balance. They're afraid to do it because they think that they're just going to be an asshole. And yeah, you could be a dick at times, but at the same time, you have to temper it with heart and humility. And so most guys don't want to do this, which means most guys do not get to have the kind of relationship that they truly want because they're not willing to put in the work. Not the work necessarily in the relationship, but the work in themselves. And so the women that show up in your life are going to be a reflection of you. And so if you're watching this video and you're complaining about how women are, and you're complaining about how they're all lying and manipulative and they take advantage of you, well, that's a you problem. It's not necessarily a woman problem. It's a you problem because these type of women keep showing up in your life to show you that you need to handle this shit. And you can play this game of MGTOW or whatever, and you can bow out. That's totally fine. That is an effective strategy if you want peace. But if you want to actually have everything in life, if you want to actually have it all, you're going to have to master this game of seduction. You have to master this game of rising up as a man. And the thing is that you can't master the game of being a man unless you master the game of seduction. Because that's a big part of our life. It's a big part of how we're built. It's a big part of who we are as men. And that is probably why you're watching this video. Because in some area of your life, you feel weak as hell and you want to feel powerful. Most guys come to this channel, come to Genuine Attraction because they want to live authentically. They want to be genuinely attracted through honesty, through unapologetic expression, which means you have to own every bit of yourself and you have to express that shit, not be afraid. This is where your edge comes from. And so if your woman gets bored and she wants to be with the loser guy out there, just realize that there's some sort of intensity that this guy's bringing to the table that you are not willing to access within yourself. And so she feels on her end that she has to go elsewhere to get it. That's why she'll say, well, I didn't get my needs met. Well, that's cool. It doesn't justify that shitty behavior. But at the same time, if she's saying she's not getting her needs met in this way, then this is something that you need to endeavor to fix. I'm not saying you should do this to get her back, but you should do this so that it doesn't happen again in the future with somebody else. And so she's showing you a huge blind spot in your own demeanor, which is that wild edge, that dominance in the spectrum of polarity. If you're unwilling to do that, again, you're going to get what you get. And so, again, not all women can be 10s on the attractiveness scale. But the cool thing is, as a guy, you can raise this on your scale by being more dominant. If you become more dominant, more savage, more wild man, but then tempered with emotional resiliency, you will have no problems dating whatever kind of woman that you want. If you want to learn how to do that specifically, obviously Soul Seducer is for you. Check out the links in the description below if you want to do Soul Seducer or the challenge or the book. We got something for everybody. Anyways, that's enough for this video, brother. If you like it, hit the like button, share it so other guys can see this message because they need to hear this shit. And then obviously if you want to see other videos, hit subscribe.